Hello once again and welcome to this lesson as we continue with computer studies in Form 1. We're in topic 6 where topic 6 talks about the operating system. Last time, if you remember, we introduced this topic by defining what an operating system is and some of the classification of these operating systems. We had that wonderful lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. But then we are still continuing with part 2 of this same topic, operating system. So I ask you to be there as we move along together up to the end of this topic. I am still your teacher, W.A. Maoa. Today we are going to proceed looking at the operating system by looking at the functions, by saying what are the functions of the operating system. So there are a number of functions of the operating system. So being the main software in the computer, yes, it has to perform different functions. So the first one is job processor or job processing or job scheduling. Now, in this one, the OS is there to allocate or allocating each job, waiting for execution, the processing or processor time at each is given interval. So it's there to allocate the job and the job that is waiting for that execution or processing time that is given to every job that is there. Now, computers may have concurrent processes ready for execution, so the operating system determines which task will be processed first. So the computer, what you are saying, it can have a number of jobs to be done, jobs or activities to be done, so it determines, the operating system says which job should be done first. Number 2, resource allocation. The operating system is also there to allocate the resource. So each available resource in a computer is given a unique identification number, which is called IRQ, interrupt request. So it's called an interrupt request, which is IRQ. So remember this thing. So we are saying each available resource in a computer is given a unique identification number, which is called an interrupt request, IRQ. So the operating system uses the IRQ number to identify the resource being requested. So there we see there resources that are available in the computer. It's given this identification number. So the OS is there to use that IRQ number to identify the resources that are being requested in the computer. So deadlock, however, there is a term by the name deadlock, which is a situation where a particular job holds a requested resource and fails to release it, yet it is requested for resource. So we see here that there is a situation sometimes where a resource is requested, then a particular job is still holding that resource. So that one is called a deadlock, Again, the OS operating system is also there for memory management. So on this one, it determines which task remains in the memory, which task remains in memory awaiting for execution, and which one will be kicked out back to the secondary storage. So the OS operating system is also there to determine which should be still there in the main memory and which one should be pushed to the secondary storage. Secondary storage here should be reminding you of the hard disk, the floppy drives, the flash disks, and the CDs. Those are the secondary storage. So when the computer is working, it is using the main memory. So therefore, the operating system determines which one should still remain in the main memory, and which one should be sent back to the secondary storage, the hard drive or any other storage that is there. Also, another function of the operating system is the input-output management. So it coordinates between the various input, output, and other peripheral devices such as auxiliary storage devices, making sure that data is transmitted securely. So it is there, again, the OS is there to manage the input and output and other peripheral devices as well. Also, another function of the operating system, it is the communication control and the management. Now, what do we mean by this? So, on this part, it is responsible for managing various communication devices and provides an environment within which communication protocols operate. So we are talking about managing various communication devices that are there, and provides that environment and operate within the order of that operation. So protocols, when you say protocols, they refer to the rules that govern communication between devices on a network. So there are always rules on communication. That's why when we come to that, we'll be talking of the IP address, which means each and every computer it has its own rule, its own address. So those are some of the protocols that are followed in communication. So communication in my computer is not the communication that can be used in another computer. The rules, they differ. And also error handling. The OS is also there to handle the errors. So it has many ways of alerting the user of error that may arise out of illegal operations. So sometimes you have done something wrong or there is an error in the operations there, it will tell you. So it has different ways of alerting you to say this operation has failed because there is an error. So it handles an error. It gives you an option. You have to do ABC to rectify the error. So the operating system is also there to handle the errors. Also, interrupt handling. Interrupt handling. What is this? So when we talk of an interrupt handling, is a break from the normal sequential processing of instructions in a program. So there is sometimes an interrupt or a break from the normal operation, normal order of processing of that operations. Therefore, that one, it is also handled by the operating system. So the operating system will tell you that there is a break, there is a cutoff in the normal sequence of how the information or the instructions or the processes have to be handled. So it handles that interrupt handling, the error, the break, or the cutoff. So a critical request causes the processor to stop executing the current process to attend to it before returning to the returning the control back to the process that was initially interrupted. So usually you find that sometimes there is a critical error there. Your computer is not working, is just not responding to those things. So therefore, it has to be interrupted. Therefore, that interruption, it is handled by the operating system. In this case, for example, when you press Alt, you press Control Alt and Delete, immediately, wherever you are, the computer will stop and it will go back to manage the tasks. Therefore, it will give you the menu as to what do you want to do at this point. Although you were playing music, although you were typing, but now what do you want the computer to do? So the interrupt handling it is also done by the operating system. Now, in short, when we talk of the functions of the operating system, these are some of the things that we have just talked about: memory management, security, job accounting, process management, device management, file management, coordination, monitoring health, networking, control. So all these are the functions of the operating system. So you can see there the operating system has got a lot of work to do. That's why it's called the main program or the main system in your computer. Now we have looked at the functions, but now let us finish by looking at the factors to consider when you are choosing an operating system. Remember, we have so many types of the operating systems and the classes. By this time, you know what are these classes and how they function. But now, you are the one to choose to put what you want in your computer. But what do you consider, therefore, when you want to put your operating system in your computer? What are the things you should consider? So the hardware configuration of the computer, such as the memory capacity, processor speed, and the hard disk capacity. So when you are deciding an operating system, you need to see the hardware configuration of your computer. So the configurations, we mean what are the specifications of your hardware. For example, here we're talking of the memory capacity. So when we talk of the memory capacity, we talk of your RAM. On the other hand, your RAM, that is the capacity of it. Is it 2 GB, 3 GB, 4 GB, or processor speed? The processor, remember, it is measured in hertz, gigahertz, or megahertz. The propelling speed, we talked about that. So that speed is also another thing that you have to consider. What is the speed of my processor? The hard disk, that is the secondary storage capacity. We talk of the hard disk in your computer. How big is it, so that is it going to tally with my operating system that I want? So that is the consideration number one. Another factor is application software intended for the computer. Remember, in your computer, you use the application. So what applications do you want to use in your computer? Yes, you have a computer, but what applications do you want to use? So the applications that you would like to use, they are the ones that are going to determine, to drive you to say, what operating system do I need to put in my computer? And also user friendliness of the operating systems. Sometimes you are forced to put an operating system that you feel you can use it freely. So although maybe you don't have maybe much, or maybe the application that you are going to use is or works better with a certain operating system, but because you are not familiar with that operating system, you are forced to use an operating system you are familiar with. Although the applications maybe that you want to use, they use better, they work better with another operating system, but you are not, it is not friendliness to you. It is not friendly or user friendly, especially to you. So you consider user friendliness. And also documentation available. The available information, right? The guide or that is there, you can also prompt you to say, let me use this one because there is a guide that is there. The cost of the operating systems. The operating system is not free, just as we talked about. It's expensive. You have to buy. You have to buy. So because of that, you have to weigh which one is going to cost me much than the other. Then, according to your pockets, you go for the one that you can manage. Reliability and security provided by the operating system. Operating systems, of course, there are some that are free, but there are some that are costly. And reliability and security, we also mentioned about this to say free software usually has got room for malware. Malware, we talk of the viruses that can destroy your computer. So in this case, it means you have to see yes, this operating system is expensive and this one is free. Should I use the free one? Should I buy the other one? So you see there, the free one comes with virus. The other one maybe can also be fair, is well secured. In that case, therefore, you go for the one that is that can cost you something. So it depends on what you want to use that computer for. The number of processors and hardware it can support. So you also see another factor to consider when choosing an operating system to say how many jobs can it be support. The hardware, what are the hardware supported by this operating system? So those are the factors you need to consider when deciding which one to choose, which operating system to choose. And lastly is the number of users it can support. Some operating system, they can only support one user, 2 users. But what do you want to do? What do you want that operating system it for? Is it only for you, a single user, or multi-user, multitasking? So you can also, that one can also lead you to put an operating system that will be suitable for your use. Now, to this far, we have come to the end of the part 2 of this topic, operating system. Remember, it's this topic number 6 that we are looking at. Now we are remaining with the part 3. So in part 3, we are going to look at to finalize this operating system, and by the end of this lesson, or by the next lesson, you should be able to know what an operating system is, what it does, and the functions or and many other things. When you talk of an OS, then you are a champion. You know what it means and how to work with the operating systems. So be there next time as we continue on part 3. I am still your teacher, W.A. Maoa, and be there, and thank you for your attention.